Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. If I can get someone to move action 1.02 to approve the agenda.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. For those of our community members at home, if you're interested in reaching out to the board, you can reach us at clerk@fulton.cnyric.org if you have any questions or concerns. Right, in the event of an emergency and we need to evacuate the building, we can go right out the back door, take a left and go down the stairs, and move as far away from the building as possible. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public forum this evening, we have one community member who is wishing to speak with us. Richard, is it Murtaugh?
Yep.
Welcome, go ahead and join us.
Good evening. My name's Rich Murtaugh. I'm the owner of 180 Flood Drive Properties, scrapyard on Flood Drive. I'm here tonight as I feel I've been treated unfairly by this Fulton School District. A Fulton School District employee, Tim Wilson, removed my business sign and dropped it off at my office at my business. This sign has been in place since August 6, 2016, and in June of 2016, I had an agreement with the superintendent, William Lynch, to place this sign in its location on the corner of Flood Drive and Route 3. I also had to seek approval from the town of Valany and codes to meet specifications required for this signage. As mentioned, the sign has been in place since August 6, of 2016, in the right-of-way in which the town of Valany mows and maintains the grass. I've spoken with Roger Dunsmoy, the highway superintendent, today, and it was confirmed with him the signage met the specifications with codes, and he confirmed that it was given approval in June 2016. I called Roger to affirm this information after speaking with Don. I can't pronounce his last name.
Lisi.
Yes, Lisi. On Monday, October 28th. On Monday, yesterday, Dom stated if the town of Valany confirmed the actions of 2016, the sign could possibly be grandfathered in and remain. Today I spoke with Don. Again, he stated that it could not be grandfathered in and would potentially cost thousands of dollars per month to leave the signage to remain in its current location. We would also need a new contract drawn up with the lawyers and could potentially cost thousands of dollars for both my business and the school district to do this. I am a small business owner and would like to remain in Fulton without a burden of fees to keep a sign that has been in place for over 8 years. I have been a huge contributor to the school district and have donated thousands of dollars worth of goods for the students. I have never asked for any recognition for this. I have dropped off pallets of backpacks, Halloween costumes, kids' clothing, coats. You can be, and I've never asked for nothing in return for this. I get it, a lot of this stuff, and I just give it to the school. I feel that I've been targeted by someone in the community with the Fulton Schools District jumping to action before making appropriate contact with me about the situation. Thank you for your time, and I hope we can resolve this area.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
One more thing. Did anybody from the town, not the town, the board, authorize them to remove the sign?
No, that was, we wouldn't go to the board for that approval.
Thank you.
somebody move action 1.06 to approve October 8th regular meeting minutes?
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. President report meetings, you can see on your agenda. We have a couple of board meetings, health and safety, policy meetings coming up in the next 2 months. I also wanted to point out, you may have received the email, but NYSBA sent an email out on Monday, the 27th. They are offering 2 free budget workshop webinars that are coming up in November and December. They are on long-term financial planning in an era of uncertainty and legislative and state budgets. If anybody is interested in that and you did not get the email and you want to sign up for that, let me know and I will forward it on to you. There was also a spot on that email that you could go to view convention web pages and some of the slides. I think that Mr. Palvino also put that in the backup on Friday. But if you didn't get that and you want to look at that as well, it's a good thing for those of us who did go to review, or if you didn't get to attend and you want to look at some of the slides, show presentations from NYSBA conference. So that was on there as well.
Quick question, Brenda.
Sure, Tim.
Are the 2 free ones on different days?
The one in November is the 20th, and then the legislative and state budget one is December 3rd. So yes, 2 different dates.
And
It's like noon.
Yeah, I'll double check and see if I got those.
Okay, yeah, and you sign up for that, and then, Jean, you don't have to sign up, we can just do it ourselves on the email, and then you will get the reminder, and if you can make it, great, if not.
And that's in the NYSBA?
It was in a NISP, yep, that was in the
So I
NISP
will
email
put
that
it in
just came.
Friday's bulletin.
Just thought with budget season approaching us, it might be a good idea for a couple of us to at least take a listen and see what they're offering. Speaking of NYSBA, a few of us were able to attend the conference, and I thank Lori for bringing back some goodie bags for those of our members who could not.
All of us. Excuse me.
Yep, Mr. Crandall was going around collecting some goods for everybody at the Expo's floor, so I appreciate you guys doing that for our members. Thank you. Just let's talk a little bit about what we learned at the NYSBA conference. Lori, do you want to share anything?
Sure. The main focus, I have nothing to compare it to. This is the first one I've ever been to, but it appeared the main focus was on AI, which totally fascinated me. I have a little video of Sophia, who was, I would call her a robot, but she was more than a robot. Came out, yeah, and they were giving her asking her questions, and she was answering them. They weren't set up or anything. And the one thing that, I don't know, this may have made me a little nervous, but she was saying how they still need human teachers in the classroom, you know, for the human emotions. But when they asked her about showing empathy, and she would like to learn that. So they plan on learning it. And then the next day, the keynote speaker was, what was his name? Dan Fitzpatrick. And he writes for Forbes magazine, and he writes about AI in education. And he talked about an experiment they did a couple years ago in Osaka, Japan, where they would show a picture of like a stuffed teddy bear and somebody else building. And they ran an MRI on the brain when they were looking at these photographs. They took the information from the MRI, somehow put it into an AI, and they developed the picture that they were looking at. Wasn't perfect, but it was obvious what it was. Another thing I went to, it was local history, past, present, and future. And in our classrooms during Black History Month, we're always teaching Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, but we never get into the rich history of Africa pre-enslavement. And I thought that was interesting, where, you know, they were saying people should move and let them know that African Americans were here before civil rights. Okay, they had a life before civil rights. And I went to a few other ones, and I found it I was very interested. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you, thank you. Mr. DeJong, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, I also attended an AI, and like Lori, just fascinating, very fascinating. For those who didn't hear, the last time when I went to a seminar for AI, the keynote speaker talked about his daughter who was older, and what was she, in her 30s?
40s.
40s, she was autistic, and they could never get an appropriate
IEP.
IEP, so they put it into an AI program, and within 7 seconds, it came out with, they put certain parameters about her, and within 7 seconds, they came out with a 17-page
IEP.
So, yeah, so AI is definitely here to stay. It's the future. I'm trying to remember, they said it's regenerative. Crap. It was regenerative, not. It escapes me.
Yeah, I'm
But,
just trying to think.
the other thing I attended was the state's budget seminar. Okay. After 4 years on the board, I finally figured out how the state figures out their budget and what we're going to get, and the process and how long it takes them to figure out what we're going to get. The third one I attended was superintendent search. And I found that very interesting as to how to make it easier, certain characteristics that we might want to look for. So it was fulfilling, the 3 days that I was there.
Thank you. Mr. Crandall?
Wanted to go to the one on the superintendent searches, but we had a luncheon we had to be at, so I figured I'm not going to go for 20 minutes and not attend the full thing. Did one on, what was it? Electric buses, which I still disagree with. They can say what they want. I still think it's not going to work that well here. Did the AI, a couple of those. We attended the one in July, so yeah, about the same, but you're going to lose some jobs, but you're going to gain more, yet they don't know what they are yet.
That's correct.
So that's it.
That's correct. So my colleagues think that Sophia and the whole AI thing is interesting. I'm not going to lie, it was downright creepy.
I wanted to say that, but.
I am for AI, but I don't know if I'm about the robot AI yet, looking so human. I mean, the sideways glance that she would give our executive director, he was asking her questions and she had sarcasm.
Yeah.
It's a machine having sarcasm, was wanting to learn empathy.
Yeah.
It was entertaining, yet scary to know that this could be a possibility in our classrooms as well as in other job industries that will be around. But saying that with AI, also went to the summer conference and listened to Mr. Daggett speak about AI as well. If we teach our students how to use AI and they become good, we'll call them inputters, they're gonna have jobs because AI doesn't exist without the human factor. I know that we're working on where we're going. I got to talk to some other school districts and where they are with AI at this point. I think the slow approach is good so that we can kind of get our students where they need, but I am really excited for AI for our staff. I would love to see them get more of their time back, like with the IEPs, lesson plans, different things of that nature that will make life easier for them so they can spend more time with our kids, I think is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But also for our students, as when they're doing their research and different, I know a lot of people think that AI is going to write the papers for our kids. I don't feel like that's the way it's going to go. I feel like this is just another tool for them to use to help them be successful. And it scares me to death if we have robots coming into our world soon, because Sophia, as cool as she was a little scary in my book.
And they're
I will
talking
give
a
that.
lot of years down the road.
Yeah, they're talking like she's coming. She's got like a little sister too,
Yes.
who
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that they were thinking would be great for our school setting as tutors for our students, especially with the math and the reading. So you're working alongside with our human teachers, who we definitely need. But just to give that little bit of extra, and it was more on a kid-friendly basis, maybe not quite as scary as the bigger version of
3 feet tall, the
Yeah.
little robot.
Yeah, so it will be interesting to see where the future takes us with that. A couple of sessions that I went to, I definitely touched base on a couple of different superintendents, relationships with superintendents and superintendent search, working with evaluations. You know, we have a lot to think of where we go in that aspect. I also went to safety and security because yes, that is always something I'm going to go to. Whitesboro was the school district that did the presentation that I attended, and I have to say, with listening to all the things that they are doing, Fulton pretty much matches what our surrounding districts are doing as far as safety. And what they're doing throughout the country. I will touch base with Dr. Lisi and the Health and Safety Committee. There was one possible program that is being used that I'm not sure that we have specifically here. I know we don't have it specifically here, but maybe we have some parts or aspects of it that I thought would be really interesting to at least look into, because let's face it, we can never have too much when it comes to keeping our students and our staff safe. But one other interesting thing that I liked about what Whitesboro is doing, and I know that some of our community members also have this concern, how much training are we doing with our students? I know we have our mandated drills that we do. The question popped up at the safety forum, but what are we doing for our students on a more regular basis? Whitesboro uses a program at the secondary level. They actually have like a video that they have put together that kind of goes through the shell cards and different things that throughout the year they kind of revisit with their older students. And they also have something at the elementary level. They call it Shelly the Turtle, so maybe that's their little mascot that kind of goes through the Shell program for them. A lot of times they also use their local fire department to come in and help do different things with them to help so the kids feel safe at their level, at the elementary level. I don't know if it's something we can kind of look into, bring to the Safety and Health Committee and just kind of see like, okay, yes, we do our mandated drills, but what are we doing throughout the rest of the year? We still have guided study at the high school, so that could be a good opportunity throughout the year. Maybe, hey, we're going to go back through and redo this. Just a little Whitesboro stuff. Also, I know that we always talk to our kids about who can they trust, but in Whitesboro, they have a trusted adult initiative at the very beginning of the year. They make sure each student can relate or connect with an adult in their building. It doesn't have to be their teacher. Some of the students take a liking to their favorite custodial staff or their favorite bus monitor even, or whoever that they feel like if in time of need that they needed to report see something, say something, that they know who they can go to. So I'm not sure how we actually work that here, but it might just be something, I just thought, okay, what's one more thing we can do to help our kids know what to do in a crisis or in an emergency. I also went to the electric bus session, and the Department of Ed, they support the governor's mandate. So it is not going away, as most of you well know. I know that we have looked into different venues and like National Grid, and where are we storing our buses, and how are we getting all of the parts put together. What they are recommending is that we start small, and they know that in the communities, when we're putting together the proposals, in a lot of districts, electric busing is getting voted down. State Ed knows this, but in 2027, we have to start adding some of these to our fleets. They are asking for our input. They won't know what works or doesn't work until we have something, which we all know may not work. What do we do? What do we don't do? But they're asking for us, our input, and we can't give the input if we don't have anything. So they want us to talk, they talked about the positive campaigns, talking to our community about the challenges and the benefits of electric busing and getting the community's concern so that we can bring that on to state aid, or state ed. They keep talking about the grants, keep trying to go for the grants. I wish I could remember the school district that this one board member was from. They need over 735 buses in their fleet to even just get through a day. They are the district that has the most owned busing fleets in New York State. They're from up north, so it's somewhere where it's cold. It wasn't like it was downstate near New York City, so I don't remember which school district she was talking about, but according to them, they've gone through all of the motions and they're trying to get things going on, and state ed is not giving them the answers they need to help their district. So we need to kind of collaborate on that and figure out what works best for our community. But I do have some other notes on those things and can definitely talk about them at any time. So, Mr. Palvino, what did you learn?
Before you start, I just need a chance to redeem myself.
Oh, you found it, okay.
And this might make you and Lori feel a little better.
Okay.
What I was trying to remember was AI is revolutionary,
There you go.
not evolutionary. Thank you.
Thank
And,
you.
About what Whitesboro's doing with the adult checking with it. Fairgrave used to have a check and connect. Do they still do that over there?
All the schools have checked.
Okay. So, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Detour.
So I would echo the group. I think one of the things that we didn't mention, none of you mentioned, was the opportunity for us to come together and just spend some time together between sessions. The way it was scheduled, we had large blocks of time at certain times, and we took advantage of having opportunities to network and talk. We got to talk to other board members, interact with some other superintendents and districts. But I thought just that time to come together and talk about things. We would talk about the sessions we were in at dinner and things like that. And I think it was really healthy. In the car, Lori's a talker as well as Tim, so it was a great 5-hour drive back. I don't think we stopped talking the whole time. And it was pretty terrific, and we really, and we got to know each other pretty well. So that was terrific. I think the one thing that I would add is that we took advantage of small cities, and we had an opportunity to listen to a speaker by the name of Art Johnson, who wrote The Art of Alignment, a data-driven approach to leading aligned organizations. It's really powerful. It was a #1 bestseller. But more importantly, he's trying to get a foothold into New York State and some kinds of things. But what they look at is overall efficiencies and looking at systems. And they've got some really powerful different short surveys that they do that are really quite powerful, that they've cross-sectioned. Most of the work is done in the Midwest. But they've shown they're really able to target and help districts target down to those priorities that they need, so that sometimes when you're there, you don't see those efficiencies are available. And as you know, we need to look at efficiencies, economically, but also how do we meet the needs of a very diverse range of learners in our classrooms as well. So I thought that was really quite powerful. So we had this book, Nick and I picked it up at the same time. We actually grabbed one each, and then another person came up, and so we have one between the two of us and for the district. So I'll bring that to the next meeting. It's out in the car. But I thought that was good. And the networking with small cities, it was the largest group since we've been a member that were present that day. And they've got the highest membership they've ever had, which is allowing us to really get a foothold in New York State. If small cities have very unique needs, and having that organization becoming more powerful, and Fulton is very much a part of that. They continue to look for board members to sit on their board of directors. I'm currently the president of that organization. Last year I was the vice president. And before that, many years ago, Bill Lynch was. Fulton has been very much a part of things. And one of the things that this district will be dealing with in hopefully the near future is future projects, and hopefully take advantage of the 10% debt limit. Because I think one of the things we haven't been able to hit that maybe we'll be able to hit in the future is actually those classrooms. We've done a lot of infrastructure, but we haven't changed a lot of what's going on in our classrooms. And this whether it's STEAM situations or creating 21st century classrooms. So I think that'll be something that hopefully that'll open the door to down the road. Because we had a great meeting with our ATM, which is the administrative team, all parts yesterday afternoon in this building. And it was evident that one of the things that part of our pride is our fields look great. We've got some other external kinds of things. We got great boilers in some places. Nobody sees those. But what we don't have is we haven't been able to get our hands on too many of the classrooms. We've updated our science rooms to a certain extent at the high school, but we really need to think about what's the 21st century learner. You talk about AI. What do those classrooms need to look like? What are those opportunities that we need to be able to provide? So that's a lot of what we talked about. So I thought it was a good session.
And I think that the Small Cities Conference is the first week of June, correct? June 1st and 2nd?
First week in June, yep. It's one day. We go in the night before and it's a full day the next day.
Might be something to
Yeah,
consider
yeah.
too.
Yep, for sure.
All right, well, thank you so much for all of your input. For those of you who weren't with us, we missed you, but like I said, Lori and Tim went around and we got lots of goodies for you guys, so. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Mr. Polvino for the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. Short agenda, not too many reports and presentations this evening. Operations and finance report, Dr. Lisi.
Thank you, Ms. Polvino. So as we get closer to the budget season, one of the things we want to do is get a little bit more granular in our approach and leveled with our financials report. So a little bit more in depth than what you've seen. So this report will be actually for September. And I'm going to ask Ms. Hooper and Ms. Hayden to share our latest financial report. Again, this is for September.
Yeah, so we're looking at September, and this is the slide that we usually put up comparing where we are in September of this fiscal year, 2024, in comparison to last fiscal year. And we like to see that we're kind of on the same trajectory. You can see that the revenues we've realized are at about 33% and expenditures at 14%. So that's good information to have, but as Don said, we wanted to give you a little bit more than just that. So the next slide is comparing August of 2024, so still this fiscal year, to this month, or to September of 2024, because I know we gave you the slides in July and August to show the revenues and the expenditures, but as you probably noticed, not quite as much goes on in the summer. So you can see the top line is the revenues. In August, our actual revenue was under $200,000. So you can, that kind of explains why over the summer we do have to be very mindful of our cash flow. And, once the school year gets started and September hits, you see the revenue starts to come in. We get some state aid payments. We get property tax payments coming in. And Paul is going to expand a little bit more on that in just a minute. And then the second line again is the expenditures, and even there you can see the summer's a little bit slower and things really start to take off, I guess, when the kids come back and school starts in September. So we'll show you the next slide with a little bit more detail on our revenue.
So the revenues are broken down between our local, state, and federal dollars, and the local dollars is a little deceiving when you see 20 million there. That is because when we booked the actual tax warrant that you approve in August, we have to book the full amount. So to kind of break that down a little more, to put it into cash-wise, we booked the full tax levy in there for the warrant, but to date in September we had only collected 4.8 million in cash for that first installment. Now, as of today, through today, and our first installment that has closed, we've collected 12.3 in tax dollars. So that's good information to have in front of you, because we really count on that tax revenue when we get up and running in September. And the reason I say that is because our state aid does not come in until the end of September. So we really use those local dollars to kick us off in September for our expenditures. So state aid that came in at the end of September was 8.2 million. So you can see that coupled with the actual cash that we received in tax revenue, that's where our cash status, our flow of the revenue coming through. The other thing, just to kind of touch on, that we do start to get in for revenues is we had our food service reimbursement that came in, that was for July, our summer programming, that was around 26,000. And then we had one special aid payment that had come in for a grant. And we always look at the grants to make sure that we are billing correctly. So we hope through the course of this we can be more informative to you, to let you know what actually is coming in, whether it's local, state, or federal dollars. So just to give you a little bit more of the high points on that.
All right, this last slide breaks down the expenditures a little bit. So you saw that $12 million total that we spent so far this year, but what that's made up of are salaries, both instructional and non-instructional, benefits, again, for all district staff, instructional, non-instructional, the equipment and capital outlay, that's a smaller portion. We don't currently have a capital outlay project, so that's the budget just for equipment purchases. The contractual and other line, so that's any purchase services included in that. Just a couple examples could be, our transportation contract is one of the larger contracts we have. Also, operations and maintenance has quite a few contractual purchases. There are purchase services, rubbish removal is a good example of a contract that falls under operations and maintenance. And then also we have purchase services or contractual expenses with different community organizations that impact more, our instructional and teaching programs. Also in that line is included our BOCES costs. So that's why that particular budget line, you'll see a lot of spending going forward. Supplies, again, that supplies for all departments, including some items that are state aided, such as textbooks, hardware, software. Debt service, so that's what we owe. You can see we've made our first payments, and those come in installments. We'll pay some more of the debt in December and then again in the spring. And then finally, the interfund transfer, that's $125,000. That represents our local share for our ESY program, the Extended School Year Program for students with disabilities. So that is aided, but districts have to pay a certain percentage of that as the local share. So we plan for that in the form of an interfund transfer that we'll make later in the year. And I think that's all, unless there are any questions for us.
Thank you. Just a couple quick notes too to share with you. We have something we're paying close attention to, our healthcare costs this year. And so just want to let you know, we have our first meeting with our intermediary or service that we work with November 21st. So we're going to share that with you because that's something we're really keeping a close eye on to see what our costs are going to be throughout the year. So we'll share that with you as we get there. And also, this is a more granular approach, and as we continue through the budget season, we'll continue to break that down for you a little bit more just so you kind of have that perspective. With that being said, one of the things we want to do is we want to continue our retreat sessions, our budget retreat sessions. So I want to propose that on the November 19th at 6 p.m., if that's something that the board's agreeable to, we'd like to host our next budget retreat. If that'll work for you.
What was the date?
November 19th at 6 p.m.
Tuesday.
It's another Tuesday, not sure.
Okay, works good.
What will the focus be for that one, Dom?
We're going to keep going with the last presentation because I don't think we made it through there, and we want to keep going with where we're headed and kind of break down the budget a bit more for you.
Sounds good then.
Great, okay, we'll put that on the calendar. And the last thing is the upcoming safety and security forum. So we hosted our first public forum recently. And personally, I thought it was very successful to have that conversation with the community, to talk about various things that we're doing in district in terms of safety and security. And we want to continue that process. I think it's good to get feedback from the public, to hear their perspective. You know, they're in the buildings all the time and they kind of see it from a different level than we do. So we want to continue that conversation. I think we're looking at a date to do that. The next one we're hoping would be in January. Mr. Bobby,
21st.
The 21st.
January 21st, which is a Tuesday, but not a board week Tuesday.
Okay.
So an off Tuesday.
And with that, that's
More
it.
information will come out, obviously, as we get
We'll
closer
share
to that date. So we covered all 3 items on the superintendent's report, so that's the conclusion of the superintendent's report. Back to the president.
All right, thank you. Action 4.01, accept financials. Somebody move it.
Move it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Action 4.02, approve disposal of surplus property.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600.
I just have one question. No, I
Yeah, no,
approved it, I just have a question.
Okay.
The furniture was a piano, right? Is that from Granby?
I don't know.
Wherever
the
it
answer.
was from.
Yeah,
Is that gonna be replaced?
Again, I don't know if it's gonna be replaced or not. If I'm aware of a couple of electric organs that we got rid of that were quite old. I'm not sure if that's one of those or not, and I did look at those, so they're definitely, I mean, if they are the electric organs, I know that they are planning on replacing those.
Action 5.01, approve committee on special education.
Move it. Second.
All right, who moved it? Mrs. Perry's looking the same too. Who was the move? Is that Tim
Tim Connors. I believe.
Connors?
Yeah,
And then who second?
me.
Tim Crandall. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I got one of them.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Action 5.02, approve the merged hockey team.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Action 5.03, accept a donation.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Action 5.0,
That was from the merry-go-round playhouse.
that was from Merry-Go-Round Playhouse.
Where are they located?
Auburn?
Is that Auburn?
Yes, yep, and they come in and do quite a bit with our elementaries and the upper
Yep.
secondary as well,
That's K through 12.
so, that's great. Thank you so much for that donation. 5.04, approve sale of district property.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. 5.05, approve the SEQR.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Action 5.06, approve education law, the 2D opt-in.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Personnel, I'm asking if one of my colleagues would batch 6.01 to 6.12.
Move it.
Is that both the Tims?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 600. Let's get under my packet here. We will start with board forum. Mr. Crandall.
Oh, geez.
Sorry, hurry up.
Mr. Lisi, Paula, and Katie, everything. We're getting better at this explaining compared to the way it used to be. That's one thing that's good. but I still want to see you this week. I have a few questions. We learned a lot in New York. It's where it is next year. Hopefully, I'll make it there.
If you can make it there, you'll make it anywhere, Tim.
That's right.
So where is it gonna be?
It's up to me.
New York.
New York City again, Tim.
Keep going.
That's it.
All right. Ms. Hutchinson.
Oh, I have a lot. So thank you everybody for your presentation, especially in the budget. Mr. Lucy did touch on this. Looks like, we are on track with our current budget, just like we were last year. But we did run into those unforeseen circumstances. So we really need to make sure we're, as a board and as a district, really keeping a close eye on that and planning for the unexpected. I thank my colleagues for going to the NISBA retreat. AI is something that I also would love to learn more information on. I think that it could really help our district and our staff and our teachers with things like creating creative lesson plans, or, as we talked about, these IEPs, helping our students with, research and things like that. Even myself personally, I've been just playing around with it. Part of my job is comparing with, medical studies and things like that for my profession, and it's been very helpful summarizing these lengthy reports that I do. I know that we're hesitant and we're going slow, but AI is going to change. We can't just think that we're going to have a policy in place and have everything nailed down. We really need to start moving forward and making this more fluid and adapting our policy as things change, because even a year from now, it's going to look different, and we're going to be losing that valuable time with our students that we could be teaching and our staff as well. I also wanted to point out that the Quirks players are doing Miracle on 34th Street by our wonderful Mr. Briggs. That's always very exciting as well. While our colleagues were away at NISBA, I was lucky enough to spend some time with Mr. and Mr. Hendrickson, and we briefly talked about future projects and ideas for the district. We were able to talk about and collaborate about goals that we had and really things that impact our students in the classroom. And our district is so data driven, not everything can be measured by data. Just like Mrs. Abelgore said, who's connecting with our students, who's that student safe person, that's not data driven. It's something that really is personal. And so just listening to some of their ideas that we have moving forward, I'm really excited to listen to the initiatives that they have moving forward. Speaking of initiatives, one thing that really has been unsettling to me is the chronic absenteeism, not only in our district, but across the state. I know we've talked about it significantly last year, but I would like on a near future agenda, if my colleagues agree, report of what we're doing. Not necessarily the data, because we have the data. We know this has been an issue, but what are our initiatives? What steps are we taking? What are we doing in the future to combat this chronic absenteeism? And then the last thing also is, I know the policy committee is meeting twice before the end of the year. Per the safety committee, we had talked about notifying parents when student learning is interrupted. I just would like, if my colleagues agree, some type of update on that, on what we're doing, a policy that's driven, where we're moving forward on it as well. And that is it for me.
Thank you. So with that, Mrs. Hutchinson asked for us to be interested in 2 separate upcoming reports.
Chronic absenteeism.
Are we, as a group, good with that?
Sure. Yes.
All right, so let's throw those both on a future agenda.
Second one, we have chronic absenteeism, and then
And then the other one was, we had been discussing in the safety committee and then about developing some type of policy or protocol that we're going to be doing as a district to notify those parents if student behavior or learning is interrupted. And how are we doing that? Who is responsible for that? What are we doing to do that moving forward?
so interrupted learning.
Interrupted learning time.
All right, thank you. Ms. Crabb?
I want to say thank you, Jean, for setting up the whole NISBA convention. Everything went smoothly. I just, as I mentioned, I found it very informative, very interesting. And I did complete my, required trainings for the board. I did that Saturday, so I had a pretty busy week. And I wanna thank for the, about the budget reports, thank you for that. And it is, it's a very complicated subject, and, but you guys do a nice job.
Thank you. Mr. Connors?
I would say that I was really interested in the different things you talked about. I think with the AI and different pieces that you mentioned from the convention, and I know you've mentioned electric buses, and I think it's hard when we're being asked to do things sometimes without actually having the information or being told we're actually gonna be backed up when we do something. So I always find that to be quite interesting when it comes to politics. You know, you have to act, but you don't have the information, and if you do it wrong, we're gonna punish you. So I think it's important that we keep looking at, we keep doing what's best for our community and what works for us, because obviously what works for us might not work for everybody else, but it's our kids that we're responsible for. I wanna thank, a lot of different groups just across the district. There have been a lot of things that have been coming up, and it seems like I'm getting emails all the time addressing the different issues. So I appreciate the people in their positions that are in charge, that they're actually being accountable and doing the things, because that's one of the things we've been asked about a lot as a district is, are we getting things done, are we being accountable? And I'd like to say that I am seeing things that is actually happening. I think one more thing I'd like to point out is, we do have that slide now at Lanigan. That's just my shout out for that, because my niece and nephew are all over that, we have the slide. So lots of little things that not everyone might not see, but there are things getting done every day, and I appreciate the constant communication. I think as far as communication goes, I think our goal is always, we're gonna be the most consistent. Those systems and things, like you talked about a book on systems, Mr. Palvino. I think it's so important that we do have these systems in place, that we're actually, using them when we run into these issues, and that when we aren't fulfilling or following those, that we have people that feel comfortable reaching out, because otherwise, for everyone who's not having their boots on the ground every day, that aren't seeing everything, we can't address those things, and it seems like right now, if we're learning about it, we are able to address it. So that's what I've got for tonight, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Mr. DeJong?
I just want to thank the district for allowing me to attend the NISPA convention. And Jean, thank you for all you do.
You're welcome.
Dr. Lisi and your team, excellent as always. I am going to stop in though someday, so I can see exactly what it is you do with all those numbers.
Fair enough.
You might regret it.
Be careful what you ask for.
That's it.
Okay. Ms. Cunningham, how are you? Good. I'm all right. I'm so glad that you were able to join us this evening. I know you've been very busy with soccer, and
Yes.
share with us what's going on with you and your peers.
Yeah, so soccer, we got through our first round of sectionals. We are going to our quarterfinals tomorrow. We are playing USM at Nottingham. Let's hope we make it to secondary finals soon. The AI stuff you were talking about, it was, I don't know, I've never been a huge fan of AI personally. I understand it's going to help people, and I know it will help us in the future. But I know there are going to be kids who are going to completely rely on AI. I'm a victim of AI myself. I use it to do some of my U.S. history work, but it worries me almost that I don't want to get too far into AI to the point where I'm completely relying on it, because as much as I use it, I also like to do my work myself, and it's just me. But I feel like if we were to introduce it to kids, at least at my age, there are going to be the majority of kids that will rely on it to write essays and write all of their questions out for them, and I don't know, that kind of just worries me. So I would like to I would like to dig in a little deeper for that.
That is a very big concern, so I do hear where you're coming from.
Is there anything that we can do as a board? In the school, maybe?
It's just the students mostly. These students they're just procrastinators, honestly. I
So are adults. I was gonna say, so are some
We're
adults.
all guilty of that. But it's the matter of, there's a difference between the kid who's like, oh, I don't wanna do this, type this for me. And the kid who's like, oh, this is done, this is due today, I need this to be written now. But I mean, I feel like they're still the same person almost, but I don't know, AI, it scares me.
It is a little scary.
I've never been a fan of AI.
And I think that when the district starts to implement this, I'm hoping that they're using it as a tool for your research and your starting up, but not actually writing the page per se. And I mean, I think that our staff will kind of know, hopefully, be trained to know the difference.
Yes.
Somebody was explaining to me, and I don't know anything about this, that how they can check if it was an AI generated report, like they refer to it as a white text. Okay, Dom's shaking his head, so, where they can throw something in there, like they say they wanna do a report on George Washington, and in the white text, they'll throw in there bananas. So they know it'll generate something about George Washington ate 12 bananas a day, or so they would know that it was AI generated. But I don't really understand that. Like, can the students see the white text, or is that something like an instructor or teacher would put in there?
There's
or?
software that can identify if it's AI or not, for now, but that changes, it's a constant race, you know, so.
I think it would be a good idea for it to be monitored, or for it to be limited to a point, because in that way, because there are students who they're taught something and they just don't, it goes in one ear, out the other, where it needs to be taught a completely different way. And it was very helpful for me, especially last year when I had to do a writing every day for a US history class, and I had to be taught something a different way. So I actually asked my AI if I could have it be taught a different way. And in that sense, I feel like that would be a lot more helpful and a lot better for students. So again, I feel like it should be monitored or limited as to what, I guess as to what the student puts in, or.
Taking notes,
Yes.
Dr. Lacey?
Lots of them.
Because she's right on top of that.
Got it.
Yes, thank you for sharing those concerns, because they are legit.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to reiterate, it's revolutionary, not
But to our point, like, that is a great point, like, and we don't, and that's the thing that we're afraid of, is that, you know, students not learning and just depending on that for, you know, to do assignments and things like that. However, part of our job as a district is to prepare our students for the workforce, and this is going to be part of the workforce.
Yes.
It really is comparing and contrasting and presenting and things like that. And to her point, you know, about reteaching, like, this could be a really great tool for AIS students or students with disabilities who need to be taught things in a different way, and being able to figure out, you know, how else to be able to reach out to our students. I mean, it's gonna be a great tool. We certainly have those same type of concerns. And again, just have to figure it out.
Anything else you'd like to share?
You're on 34th Street.
Are you
I
in?
see it.
So we're not in this
I
one?
can't do plays in soccer, but I'm lucky enough to know probably 4 of the leads. They're all great. They're great actors. I know it's gonna be a great show. So come see it.
Can't wait. What a great way to start out the holiday season, so.
Yeah.
Mr. DeJohn, did I?
You did.
I did, okay. You know, I'm not tired or anything. I'm not tired or anything. Okay. I want to again say thank you to the merry-go-round for their very generous donation to our kids through their arts program for us. I think that is just fantastic. Miracle on 34th Street, definitely going to go. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's not It's a Wonderful Life, but it's pretty close. I can't wait to see it. I also want to do another shout out, congratulations to all of our October champions. Mr. Capani, you did a great job. I love how you broke down the videos into 3 separate throughout the month, because then our opportunities to focus on one at a time is nice, and it just kind of keeps the celebration moving. So I really liked that addition to Proud to be a Champion. So to Ms. Butler, Ms. Ken, Mr. Anderson, that was great. That was great. So thank you for that. I know we've been talking quite a bit about the AI. I just wanted to let you know that Oswego County School Boards Association, we are working on bringing in, I forget what the name of the school district that we're looking to bring into, but they use a lot with AI, and also possibly Mr. Daggett. That those presentations should be sometime in winter, March, and then again in early spring. So I will keep you posted on when those come. That would be great for us, administrators and board members alike, to go and be able to see what's going on there. Also, I'm going to do this. Brian, I'm speechless. I know that you have bigger and better things that you are ready to pursue in life, like, retirement, I don't know, maybe getting some household chores done,
Perhaps.
or visiting with your mom, or, going on adventures. But I want to thank you I know that you were here 1 year before I came on, but I want to thank you for always being there for our students, mostly. There isn't anything that you're not at for our students. You are a huge supporter of our kids. I know there's going to be holes in our district for a little while because, you have made a lasting impression on the Fulton City School District. So I do thank you for, all the work that you've done. You're not going anywhere yet,
Nope.
So, don't get senioritis on us yet, because there's a lot of work to be done this year, and with your team. So, but I want to wish you a very happy retirement. And thank you again for all that you've done for our district. So with that said, I'm going to move on to a second public forum. Is there anybody who wants to speak? Okay, we're going to move past that then. And we will be moving into a executive session. So if I can get somebody to please move that.
Second?
Yeah. So was that Tim and Fallon? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and we will be out briefly. Okay, welcome back. I need somebody to approve action 7.04, disciplinary appeal.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. Action 8.01, adjournment.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 6-0-0. Everyone have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.